as quoted in La Repubblica newspaper. It now seems highly likely that many, if not all, of those influenza and pneumonia cases were in fact COVID-19. At the moment, it looks like the outbreak already started in early January, so it had time to grow to a considerable size. Christian Althaus, a computational epidemiologist at the University of Bern, told Wired magazine. The initial infected cases can be missed, and the virus can spread freely.
My view.
Was the simply a case of bad luck? Was there nothing more for Prime Minister Conte and the Italian authorities?
Listening to this thing, I keep missing the bookmark due to a bad internet connection. I keep listening to the same parts over and over.
Mistakes were made. Certainly, Prime Minister Conte acted swiftly to shut down flights from China as soon as a case was recorded in Italy. But just 10 days before then, even as the world...
I bathe. What else? I eat some almonds. Almonds and I drink water.
What was Italy's culture and tourism minister,
like 51%,
Dario
52%.
had hosted a Chinese delegation at a concert at the auditorium de la Musica to inaugurate the year of
sandwich for myself, eat it with chips. More dark chocolate.
China culture and tourism. As well as the Chinese delegation, some 2,500 guests were present.
And
on February 19th, just when patient 1 was at his most contagious, 40,000 soccer traveled from Lombardy to Milan San Siro Stadium to watch local team Atalanta beat Spanish side Valencia 4-1 in a European Champions League clash. The match was later described as a biological bomb by Bergamo.
What else? There's the bottoms and there's that shirt that I want as well. The sarong was looking so good too. I would possibly, based on these suggestions, get both pieces and then rewear the suits.
Omer Giorgio Gori, as each goal was wildly celebrated by the Italian fans, hugging, kissing, and falling on top of each other before returning en masse to Bergamo. Unfortunately, we couldn't have known, he said.
No. Call today and H&M at the shops at River Center later. Some pieces may not be available in the store. What else? Let's get to for the pool. That is good. It comes in a variety of colors. I would possibly get 2 more. One for Jane and Kilani. Jane and Kilani will work with me at this apartment.
One knew the virus was already here.
What else?
It was inevitable.
What else? You can send me H&M.
There are no such excuses. On February 25th, 2 days after the initial shutdown of the Lombardy, Veneto, and Emilia-Romagna
Arlene Lorenzo art at gmail.com. I have other email addresses that I've made available. You can also give me money through those. It's en lo que estoy pensando at gmail.com, straight to my heart at gmail.com. Shop INTAYIAFAY. Entire shop. What else? What else? There's a gift cards. To give me gift cards. There's an H&M. a few minutes away from me, and I also like shopping online.
Regions. Far-right
What else
Lombardy
is
Governor Attilio Fontana told the regional parliament that the virus was just a little more than a normal flu. Following his lead, the region promptly relaxed restrictions on bars and restaurants.
Such a good deal. I drank water yesterday, so I left my cup there. What else? I've seen several or the same one.
2 days after that, as the number of infected
I
Italians
wouldn't know.
passed 600 and the number of deaths edged toward 20, the
What
leader of
else?
the governing center-left Democratic Party, Nicola Zingaretti, posted a picture of himself clinking glasses.
So bored of this thing. I'm gonna visit the library in Tampa next week. You can give me money in person through PayPal. It's AR Blue Sky Designs going to pensando straight to my heart. Arlene Lorenzo,
People not to change our habits, to avoid destroying life or spreading panic, and to give signs of recovery and rebounding. At the same time,
What else? I'm sorry, show is my other PayPal account. I'm buying Ajax at Dollar Tree today, possibly to clean the sink in my apartment. What else? I have a microwave in the pantry that I need to list on the Facebook Marketplace. Possibly do that next week. Anyways, you can also give me money to my GoFundMe.
Milan doesn't stop.
It's GoFundMe.com. So different
Within a week,
link or two that get populated by GoFundMe that is valid if one wants a shorter version of that. Oh, that's still audit onto a website, which I could do when I have a website. If I still haven't achieved my goal of $1 billion, or I'm still gonna add a donation link for people to give me money when I activate Arlene Lorenzo art.com again. I'm excited about that. I love free money. What else? I'm posting this blog from posting on Facebook at the moment. I'm reporting abuse towards me, so Facebook's like, what the fuck? And I have been warned already. Decades ago of how the algorithm works. That sometimes it's for my own thought process that they pause. So that people know that even though I said that I'm killing people in self-defense when they don't behave, just like I don't tell people. When I take a shit, it'll be whenever I like traffic leeches that pretend to be me decades ago when I have feelings for them, so I'm killing all those people in self-defense.
And that he would work in self-isolation.
What else? It's natural to me. Like, I can't help it. In the meantime, this piece is so good. I'm buying tracks so that I can possibly place it on a wall here later. No, like in a few days when I'm stitching. This is gonna take a few weeks, possibly, based on how I want to fill up every single space of this sheet. So I need to buy tacks at the Dollar Tree. I need to check my PayPal balance. I have a phone bill that's due in a day or two. What else? From now
on, Nicola Zingaretti posted another video, this time informing the people of Milan that he too had the virus. Even Prime Minister Conte, praised for his initial strong action, and apparently let
So I posted on Instagram a picture of my work in the books that I'm reading. Both stitching this. That's fun. I've done that before. What else? What else? You can decapitate the villain as long as I don't get me pinned. He's trying, but I'm gonna shoot him in between the eyes before he becomes my pin. What else? What else? He still gets raped by leeches. He praises when they read. It's like, yes, they're not invading my privacy. So they're like, I'm just hearing it. But they don't tell him when they take a shit. Some may do. They find that fascinating. Just for him to not suspect that they're invading his privacy. What else? I don't talk to anyone that I grew up around on purpose. They're so gross. For the most part, they're sex addicts, rapists, murderers, and thieves, and I expose them. Anyways, you can get. Oh, can leave it. Oh, of course. Some people have a preference for just physical gift cards. What else? And then there are a lot of places that are around to understand the meaning of the
We have
word.
been the first ones to deliver rigorous and accurate controls. The botched Lombardy lockdown, adding that more people in Italy appeared infected simply because we
I
did.
like pizza. What else? Oh, I like pizza. Well, I can't die out country here. It's like I need a salad to eat and I don't have money to afford that. And that HEB on the west side, I don't think has mozzarella Spanish.
More tests.
Tomato salad
February
with balsamic
25th,
vinegar.
he
That's
doubled
like
down on
$4.
those,
So
declaring
good.
that Italy is a safe country and probably safer than many others. According to Sandra Zampa, Undersecretary for the Ministry of Health.
That I don't know why. I had that last year, possibly. I bought it here and ate it here. I get it downtown at the HEB downtown. The people that I grew up around are sex addicts, so they think that talking about grocery stores is boring. They don't eat, so that they don't gain weight, a lot of them. So
A kind of Western arrogance had crept into Italy's attitude to combating COVID-19. Mass lockdowns were all very well in a communist regime, but were unthinkable for the sociable, gregarious, tactile, free-thinking Italians.
That is the target. What? What else? I'm so bored. So bored. Never dated anyone.
Example of China,
It's very
not as a practical warning, but a science fiction movie that had nothing to do with us. Perhaps most chillingly, she added, that after the virus exploded across Italy, Europe,
I wear my presents very well behaved. Perfect. This one. What else? Excellent dog. In my presence. What else? What else? I'm so bored.
looked at us the same way we looked at China. Finally, on March 8th, Giuseppe Conte bowed to the inevitable. In a news conference conducted at 2 a.m., he announced a
War
full
for
lockdown of
the
Lombardy and 14 other provinces.
That's what they said. Lockdown. Matangas is fun. Matangas is so good. Oh, like I act like I haven't had like that late night pizza in a while. Matangas is really good. I've had their buffet too on a
In
Sunday.
Veneto,
So like
Emilia Romagna, Piedmont, and Marche,
after church,
affecting
I
more than
didn't
16
even
million people. Only movement for emergencies or
and
proven working
donates, you
needs
know,
was
like
allowed in and out of those
pray.
areas.
People do that.
All gyms, swimming
Before I get some people to steal from me and stuff. For aiding my children, trying to engage them for some hobbies, like I'm gonna be helpful in that too. Though I don't expect them to. I've never instilled them to kill. It's always self-defense, and I've never brought it up
museums,
till
cultural
now.
centers, cinemas,
But
theaters,
self-defense
clubs,
is.
dance schools, game rooms, and betting rooms
I want to attend
were shut.
bingo.
All organized events were suspended, as were civil and
bingo.
religious ceremonies, including funerals.
San Antonio Community Centers. I have money for food. Or I would attend bingo. My family of origin, for the most part, see that as wasteful because they're like people that be having sex. Not everyone wants to be having sex every day. And that doesn't make one unsexy. Man, oh my nose is like so full. Much more fuller than about you. What else is good? I deserve based on activities. But there's one nearby.
It was described by the New York Times as the largest
Or
lockdown
gift card to
in
give to
Europe.
people as
We are
courtesy.
facing an emergency.
It's
Action
customary
based,
to
Mr.
just
Conte
bring
said.
gift cards and leave
A
them on
national
tables and then
emergency.
people take.
But it was still not enough. News of
What else? They may fall in love with Matengas. Do they have cards? However, it's ideal to leave gift cards for places that are nearby. So isn't there a Popeyes nearby? There's a Walmart. So one should pick places in the area that are accessible and then maybe not 1 hour or two outside of this area. Some people have access to vehicles. A ride from someone, the bus system. They can wait. They're like, oh, maybe now I'll get myself a vehicle just to eat pizza at this place. So it brings consumerism. You never know that someone at the Kia dealership is buying a vehicle just to take themselves to a pizza place once monthly, or living on the east side and using
the lockdown had been leaked hours
The bus
before the press
system.
conference, and thousands of Milanese had fled south,
like the
either in their
publication.
cars or else
I
crowding
don't
the
want to
trains,
commerce though.
effectively
Thank
carrying
you
the
for
virus,
being so-
at that point largely contained in the north, out of quarantine.
What else? By amenity. What else? Oh, there's a dance studio too. You're welcome. What else? The library system in San Antonio was founded in 1995. Though I read, and I remember those times. Though that doesn't mean that people were literate. Like there's shopping, Amazon.com was launched one. What else? What else? What else? It's like thinking the worst case scenario. Like finally, I got my family of origin to help somehow those that are in a disadvantage. So they bring me into poverty. So I take credit well under the poverty line
Into the
because they
rest of
think that
Italy.
that is
A day later,
horriblness.
on
It's
Monday,
like I'm
March
gonna kill them in
9th, Prime Minister
self-defense
Conte extended the lockdown to the
for
whole country.
abusing.
60 million Italians, an entire nation, were now confined to their houses.
I don't like my family more than the most part. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? You know, it's right here. That's what I thought. That's not where I signed up. Oh, I want to send some. Dance here on a hot day. Just visit this space and use the bar to meet. What else? 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 Sword. Sword. Y si tengo que estar, me quedo contigo.
There is no more time, he said. The whole of Italy will become a protected zone. We must all give up something for the good of Italy. We have to do it now. Restrictions would only begin to be relaxed only 2 months later.
Kitchen. My coffee pot is brand new. So is my toaster. What else? Oh, charges my phone. This is like slow. It's down 52%. So I'd have to wait a little bit. Let me see which I want to make. Pancakes without a banana. So,
on May 4th, by which time nearly 212,000 Italians had contracted COVID-19 and 29,079 had been killed by the virus. At the time of this writing, only the United States, Brazil, and Great Britain.
Because I posted this piece earlier. Instagram or on my account. What else? What else? That's the beautiful part. What can get back to it at any time. Some people say that about baby making. Some people have babies through spurts. I don't know what that is. I've never met a man. What else?
Would suffer greater losses.
What else?
If the West had watched Wuhan with incredulous eyes, surely the lessons of Italy were to serve as a wake-up call for the world.
So
the unprecedented lockdown had shocked many.
The mental, not that I didn't have it, but he was waiting for me to feel healthy without abuse towards me to raise my children in peace. So they were both very much planned, like, I want to get pregnant this month. I'll be leaving next. What else? What else? What else? What else? Feeling, because people publishing and see what is the rest of the title. I love that it says the greatest there. I wasn't going for that. I just cut it off.
But throughout March, as the virus tore through the troubled nation, the details were often little short of horrible. The so-called Chinese disease was not only here in our own backyard, but it was exacting a terrible toll.
All these leeches, because they're trying to kill me, it always feels like if I'm trying to start over and over and over and never get financial stability. Even the competitive on mis citizens, then make me some of my money again to the way we do money, so I get rich, so I can eat, so I can drink water, so I can shop, so I can take myself dancing, so I can take myself children library, so I can't design, so I can't date, so that Jaden Kilani can't live with me, so I can't visit Jaden Kilani in Tampa.
Bills began to be overwhelmed, with frontline workers describing a tsunami of patients. Medical staff were working 14-hour days for weeks on end without any breaks. Supplies of personal protective equipment, such as face masks,
They hold people back from their money. They're like, she needs a light from her mother on that post. They're very sentimental. Wow, like in a way that's pathetic. They're like, wow, if her mother would have liked that post, then Sunday dinners would have been amazing with her other set of grandparents, and then I would have differentiated her from being my cousin that I feel disgusted by because she has feelings for me, and her only one set of grandparents are the ones that are my grandparents. So I didn't have an ottoman in my bedroom and I got overloaded. Right now you're calling possibilities. Well, you don't know you want to stab where you've already stabbed all the down comforters just to see the feathers come out. Or the ottomans in your homes, in your parents' home, in the museum that your grandparents have. Both sets. Not sure if you should end your marriage or not over the ottoman inconsistency. And no one is asking you to do that. It's situational and circumstantial to be a guy one day me va a mamar la tota so good. Possibly that won't look into that. He's clinging on to material things to not feel abused by the people that rape him. And then he blames me for inadequacy. When he's the one that's inadequate.
With no time to eat or drink. There's no time to lose, so we don't want to stop. But maybe once or twice a day we go for a drink of water, once a day to the bathroom. It means removing all the PPE, leaving the ward, then reversing the problem. Process when you get back. We also work with the danger of being infected. This is psychologically very difficult, not just physically difficult. We are all very stressed. But if we don't do it, nobody will. So yeah.
So no, it's like we've been to the mall several times together. That's so uncomfortable. Those bitches that want to rape me. I'm like, I need to use the restroom. Please don't rape me. I have my face ready to fight you and kill you, slam you, and this bathroom so and kill you. Do they cry to the police? They're like, this bitch is over. And literally she walks into the bathroom with me. And she's like, una catada la mato. Like, it's not gonna take a fight. I'm just gonna kill her in segundos. I've been trained to be mercenary inside. And it sometimes shows. That's why when people see me dancing to it, they're like, oh, there she is. She doesn't give in to what her parents want her to do and kill more people. Or maybe her parents aren't done with that. They got so much PTSD. And it was so refreshing for them to be like, wow, you and I raised a project manager. Look at her so dedicated to world peace. That's hilarious because we won't give her her money. So she goes on saving grandma. They're possibly ungrateful they can give her money, and you're proving it by starving me.
And some of them do not overcome their serious respiratory crisis.
What else? However, they were very impressed that instead of a mercenary that kills just for fun, that they raised a project manager that I would go on to survey people in my family of origin about how to achieve world peace. They're like, just be a Sarah Bending, create an Instagram account, sell your artwork, fail, we'll do some rest behind the scene, mock you. Because that's the only thing that we're good at. We're not raping, stealing, or killing.
Endure this experience.
Already have PTSD, whatever. We go to jail and get the death penalty. That's how they speak. But if you want to be this goody two shoes, you should hang out with this one and this one. Like, you know, say to be compatible, because I don't want the banditos, so maybe not even as goody two shoes. I don't know what to say, Arlene. Whatever. Here's a gift for the conversation that I had with you. Quality of life document on behalf of the United States. He's so lovely. Possibly like as fake kumbaya. My most favorite moment. It's backwards though. That's why we both hate it. Because it's like those people that I grew up around, they don't want to follow that there's human rights stated by the United Nations. So se sigue escribiendo document after document for them to get over their sex addiction, and they don't. They say it's flattery, ew, that people are talking about them, I'm gonna kill them, self-defense, and they kill that stuff.
And without proper quarantine measures.
Resolution 24/7, I talked about decades ago. And even read towards. However, I was checking the, what is it called? Excuse me. The United Nations website and Instagram account without following it a while ago. I didn't want to be stressed. Well, under the poverty level, with having the toll of having to entertain everyone on the planet, not everyone wants to be entertained by me. So some people get something similar. Some people ignore me completely. So do I. Like there's fashion houses that I may want something from, but it's not on my radar. I can't. I don't have the time. Or I know that they exist. And maybe one day I'll support someone else supports me. What else? What else? What else? Is there bingo here? Oh, this is so lovely.
In churches, the Church of All Saints in Bergamo, scores of coffins lay neatly lined up in a queue for cremations. Unfortunately, we don't know where to put them. Brother
I could
Marco
see myself.
one
I'm
of the
doing the
priests
same thing that I do here. I lean against the wall sometimes. What else? I'm tiptoeing on the bus. What else? So the government is watching me even though I'm not actively talking to people. Is chisme that people find out. That's why they stay together sometimes. That people laugh at me so much, specifically my children, not my children, my siblings possibly. And it's been known for decades that these hate me and that they don't stop performing a hate crime towards me. Ew, this leash has been trying to rape me since my childhood. And I'm like, how do I avoid this? What else? What else? What else? What else? According to my advisor decades ago, he's like, all you need is one screenshot of exposing them publicly, hopefully.
Church of All
They will
Saints,
go
New York
on to
Times.
rehabilitate
He
themselves
said that
while
with
they're
hundreds
into
slain
jail.
each day,
Surprise,
and with each
surprise,
body
gross.
taking more than an
Shut
hour
up.
to cremate, there was an awful backlog.
Ew,
It takes time,
still
and the dead are many.
so gross.
He also described ringing the dead.
What else? What else? What else? What else? I've submitted these screenshots to the International Criminal Court. Again, another gift. Their own statute. these leeches steal from me, get in the way of me receiving money. They loan me vehicles to people that will have sex with them as a favor. People stay in my homes without my permission. I just wanted to get some money because they terrified my parents into not providing for me. And because my parents have an intimate relationship with them, my parents felt attacked and terrorized. And I want my vehicles back. As of 1999, I had at least 4 BMWs that I've yet to drive. And all of these leeches, including my baby daddy, I've heard Segundo El Carro progressing as if I had a relationship with these people when I wasn't. Though he knew that he was going to be a guest in those homes. So that's why I don't hold grudges against him, because he may have been there under the impression that I was okay with him being there, and that was already talked about between him and I. Not these leeches, not Gabriela Martinez Urias. I didn't invite her into my home. What else? What else? What else? What else? Esa tipa da un asco. Se mudó a mi casa aquí en shirts. Where is that screenshot? What else? Oh, there it is. What else? Real life phone number. So maybe he may have switched his number. It may not be active, or I'm messaging a stranger. With my qualms.
These are people who die alone
What
or
else?
buried alone.
These people are so
They didn't have someone to hold
my
their hand. The
siblings,
funerals have to be tiny.
blood
With a quick
relatives.
prayer from
Oh,
the priest.
it's not a
Many of the
sibling.
close relatives are in
Steals
quarantine.
from me. Por that. That's why I don't talk to her. Ella viola a gente, harasses them, stalks people. Ew. Over what do you think is Arlene stealing? Those stitches from people? Are people mad at Arlene stitching? So that's why my dad, I think, paid for DMC to feature me, or DMC just like my work. I don't need her permission to stitch these leeches. Where is
so
it?
many bodies are piling up. They don't know what to do with them. Eventually, the army were called in.
Are sex addicts after my childhood bedroom view. So they give every praise to the oldest sibling as if knowledge is literally transferred in phases, like, or my parents' semen becomes obsolete with the more kids that they have. Do they mistreat their younger siblings? Well, as if you're less than I'm the oldest. That was decades ago. So they possibly want to talk to me about how I can't stitch anymore after my sibling said that, but that's because it exposes violence in my home that they created. Ew. 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 Qué gente tan puerca.
I would never have imagined that we would see a
Anyways, I'm trying to look at the schedule. I'm gonna attend a Zumba class. There's 3D paper quilling. That's so fun. I've done that before too. When is the? I won't have a bus pass or money for food.
of army trucks carrying coffins, said Minister Conti. These are terrible days, without precedent. Italy was a warning to the West.
But I've turned it around. I should, like people say, hate talking to people for the reason. And I've had so many records, so many people getting rich out of
Carted away in
poverty.
trucks. It seemed a warning
Companies
you
doing
took
better for
seriously.
themselves and other people
Spain
that gone from
called
one
the nationwide lockdown on March 14th. but only after a slew of fatal mistakes caused by the same kind of national nonchalance that so many Italians had
Love that word.
displayed. Spain will only have a handful of cases. 500 Valencia fans had traveled to Milan for the biological bomb Champions League soccer match against Bergamo, placing themselves right in the epicenter of the Italian outbreak, mixing in bars, hotels, and restaurants, as well as the packed, sweaty San Siro Stadium.
Two people are watching. One has like this.
As late as March 8th, sports events across Spain were still taking place, as well as political party conferences and a series of mass demonstrations to mark International Women's Day. After some universities in Madrid were closed days before the national lockdown, a holiday atmosphere took hold in the city as families headed for parks and bars to enjoy the spring sunshine together. And it happened that the lockdown was finally announced.
Look up bingo, that's okay. A lot of people
Led the
that I
cities
grew
from
up
other parts of
around
the
have a
country.
hard time in their
Spain
first
would pay
dibs
a
with the
terrible
ones which I
price.
know.
Over 250,000 cases
So
by early
embarrassing
May,
that they didn't hear that
more
way.
than 25,000 COVID-19 fatalities. France too would suffer hugely. President Emmanuel Macron delayed mandatory confinement until March 16th, by which time there were already over 6,000 cases nationwide.
People for me,
Like Italy and Spain, by early May,
I had a terrorist plan. That time, even though it's in self-defense, if one isn't careful and
that
collateral
nation's dead would
damage
also exceed
happens, I may not go
25,000.
to jail.
If Italy's experience of COVID-19 could be
by some,
attributed in
it'll
part
be
to
like
bad luck,
nothing, or you
its
just
European
tell
neighbors
them
had
to
no
quit
such
their
excuse.
Please
As
don't
former
bring
Italian Prime
violence
Minister
into
Matteo
places
Renzi put it,
of worship, shopping. It's like when that doesn't happen.
Europe is being tested now, and Italy, unfortunately, has been the guinea pig. What that guinea pig showed was that any kind of staggered or low-key lockdown simply
How
would not
emotionally
work.
healthy I
And there
am.
would always be some who, given
Before gifting me money, sadly. But that's because I haven't gone more than a few hours without eating.
the choice, would prioritize tourism or industry or profit and loss forecasts over public safety. And also that many ordinary people, through either understandable ignorance, willful arrogance, or even just plain fear, would ignore anything but the strictest official advice in favor of their own needs. On March 11th, 3 days before Spain locked down, 5 days before France followed suit, and nearly 2 weeks before British Prime Minister Boris
I encourage
Johnson
people
and American
to fix their relationships if they haven't, to stay put. Some people say, I'm not happy in
President
New York
Donald
City.
Trump imposed any meaningful restrictions.
But they don't
Newsweek
try
magazine
to be
ran an
happy in New York
article
City.
byline
They
simply,
think that one day
"A
they'll
doctor
do it
in
and
Western
life
Europe,"
will be better.
in which an anonymous medic
As if there
criticized the
isn't big
complacency
fat
of those in
New York
power.
City, as if
And,
there are
in the face of
Italians in New York City. What else? Some
the
people
failure of the
decided to
state,
go back home
called on ordinary citizens to
and
take
be
the kind of
hot
responsibility
Italian
necessary
Italy.
to combat the virus. I'm a doctor in a
Going
major
back
hospital
to
in
New
Western
York.
Europe. The article starts.
Thinking that life will
Watching
be
you
better
Americans
there.
and you Brits
What else?
in these still early days of the coronavirus pandemic is
That's
like
not
watching a
really,
familiar horror movie, where the protagonists
took me
yet again
hostage
split into pairs or decide to take a tour of a dark basement. The real-life
What?
versions of this behavior are pretending.
What else? Liam Baker tried to take me hostage.
This is just a flu.
saying I'll
keeping
look for a
schools
house
open,
for you and I to
following
live
through
in,
with your
forget about
holiday
your
travel
kids.
plans, and going into the office daily. This is what we did in Italy. We were so complacent that even when people with coronavirus symptoms started turning...
Ew. Do they watch too many superhero movies? Ew. Are they autistic? How can so many people be autistic? Doesn't sound right because then they don't behave like that near people that they consider wealthy. Autism doesn't classify people based on wealth and social status. They're just throughout everyone. So I've heard that they mimic behavior, but not like being
Enough.
selective. Just
We wrote each off
by
as a nasty case of the flu.
piece that
We
a
kept the
person
economy
brings
going,
onto them or
pointed
not.
fingers at China, and urged tourists to keep traveling. And the majority of us told ourselves and each other, this isn't so bad. We're young.
Arlene isn't for everyone. I don't even find her attractive. The most monkeys behind me and one of a few people in my family of origin that has achieved adulthood, that isn't a sex addict and doesn't steal vehicles. That is praised in many parts of the world, and it makes like a lot of people look into my life as a potential date. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? I'm so bored. So bored.
We're fit. We'll be fine, even if we catch it. Fast forward 2 months, and we are drowning. Put aside statistics. Here is how it looks in practice. Most of my childhood friends are now doctors working in North Italy, in Milan.
Did I start going to the gym? After or during David Ledesma was raping me? Thinking that it would be next? I've heard they do that. They're like, well, the guy that she's currently having sex with, they invade one's privacy so badly that they're like, well, if the guy that she's currently having sex with is buff, then I need to get buff so I don't look like, ew, like if one measures arms when one has sex. Is that dumb? What else? What else? So
In Bergamo, in Padua, they are having to choose between intubating a 40-year-old with 2 kids, a 40-year-old who is fit and healthy with no comorbidities, and a 60-year-old with high blood pressure because they don't have enough beds.
I like no comorbidities. I'm gonna kill everyone that has caused my health to decline. I am killing those people that have caused my health to decline. In self-defense, they're mostly people that I grew up around, or people that were introduced to me by prospects that never turn into prospects because they're immature. So they think that sex is aliante or their dick is the price.
In the hallway, meanwhile,
What else?
there are another 15 people waiting who are already hardly breathing and need oxygen. The army is trying to bring some of them to other regions with helicopters, but it's not enough. The flow is just too much. Too many people.
What else? One person is watching, one is like this. Yo vuelvo a sanar, yo bailo.
People are getting sick at the same time. If your government is hesitating, these restrictions are up to you. Stay put. Do not travel. Night out. This release
You shouldn't go to work sick. Like, you're not that indisable in life. You get replaced as soon as you die.
These are special times. Don't take risks. Do not go to places where you are more than 20 people in the same room.
What
It's not safe, and it's not worth it. It's the civic and moral duty of every person everywhere to take
What else?
part in the global effort to reduce this threat to humanity. First Wuhan, then Italy, then mainland Europe had all been devastated by COVID-19. As successive administrations failed to act, the consequences had only worsened. But as the virus spread west, the three nations that, by the end of June, were to suffer more fatalities than any other on the planet would be damned by their own entirely unique failings. Failings that reached to the very
They're treating me like if I'm Latina poor que nunca ha visto un baño.
top of government. Failings that should live in for generations.
That may not
Chapter
even
6.
exist.
Anarchy in the UK. One of the
They
theories
threatened me decades ago that if I even liked Fierce by Me Too, they would kill me. Porque I should only be posting about
is
Vogue
that perhaps
and
you could
not
take it on the
abuse.
chin.
I find it
Take it all
hilarious
in one
sometimes
go
when they
and
post
allow the disease, as
avocado.
it were, to move through the population without taking as many draconian measures. Prime Minister Boris Johnson,
Memes.
This Morning TV show.
Not to spread awareness
March
that
5th,
they abuse me.
2020.
Hell, they're terrorists.
Herd
They
immunity.
remember
Protect the
every
economy.
threat
And if that means some
towards
pensioners
me.
die, too bad. Dominic Cummings, Chief
Yeah.
Advisor Boris
Tan
Johnson,
puerco que
has quoted Sunday Times.
news
Art-
that because she was in an intimate relationship with them, she stopped that fool. She let them terrorize
22nd,
her into
2020.
starving me. She's like, whatever, I'm not losing that
On
dick.
May 5th, 2020, the UK recorded its 29,427th official death from COVID-19. The grim statistic made Britain the worst hit
Fuck my life. I hate when I do this.
country in Europe, and second only to the United States for recorded deaths from the virus in the entire world. More so than perhaps any nation other than the US and China, the reason and the blame for many of those UK deaths lies.
You can decapitate Gloria Mirza Acevedo Cordero. You can decapitate Arlene Lorenzo. You can decapitate Benjamin
Squarely with those charged with protecting its citizens. Somewhat surprisingly, the record death toll is not considered front-page news. The following day, most of the British media led with the story that Professor Neil Ferguson, aka
It's like if I don't exist and I'm just literally my vagina.
Professor Lockdown, the epidemiologist whose modeling convinced Prime Minister Boris Johnson to belatedly press ahead with a national lockdown, had been caught flouting social distancing regulations, apparently in order to pursue an affair.
Stereotype model that doesn't exist, that doesn't have a brain. Like arm candy that doesn't think.
With a married woman. He described it as an error of judgment, but that he acted in the belief that I was immune, having tested positive for coronavirus. The tone of much of the coverage was not so much outrage.
They're happily married somewhere, whoever people wear, and then they size people up and brand them.
Professor Ferguson's hypocrisy in ignoring his own recommendations as the peculiarly British glee of a good sex scandal. The front page of the country's best-selling newspaper, The Sun, read, blonde.
Not poor. I need a team. I may shave. Ideally.
Prof lockdown broke lockdown to get his trousers down. The only other item mentioned on the front page concerned reality TV mogul Simon Cowell, also accused of having an affair. 5 days earlier, as British
People that want things are men are sluts.
Cases of the virus sped past 170,000, and the number of fatalities exceeded those of France and Spain. The same newspaper had splashed with the news that Boris Johnson's fiancée, Carrie Simmons, had given birth to a baby boy.
Alex, you can
The
have David. You gotta know I'm saying money. I have no space in my life.
Fine. Good news at last for Britain.
Somewhere.
Happy birthdays. Again, there was no mention of COVID-19 anywhere on the front page.
When was that in June?
Headlines on the front pages of the next two biggest selling newspapers in the country, the Daily Mail and Daily Telegraph, also did not mention Britain's death toll. At that time, the third worst in the world. Beaming smile that says, "It's a boy," shouted page one of the Daily Mail, while the Daily Telegraph.
I'm used to seeing death as very much a catastrophe that is natural. At a very
Featured articles by their leading writers offering insight and analysis on the Prime Minister's latest challenge.
They didn't even know.
Strap in, Boris. Here's what I've learned as a dad at 50. For many outside the UK, such shameless ignoring of the income.
So, like, they can't get me to leave the internet just because there's billions of people, maybe millions of billions of
or uncomfortably truthful big story in favor of a feel-good puff piece or salacious scandal seemed completely baffling. One media commentator described it as state propaganda that would make North Korea blush. Another
What else?
declared the Sun's "Good News at Last" splash as a front page that would embarrass the editor of the official newspaper of a tin pot dictatorship. To understand how the British media at one time
and then there's my what else?
came to find itself in such a position,
I don't know what my art studio
came to suffer
like
so terribly.
or
The
furniture.
tragedy.
I
The
think
roots
one
of
of them
such folly
designed
lay
my
not
dad.
The British government approached the crisis.
And upset. We didn't go for have sex with me. It's like I'm designing a
But in the
desk here.
consequences for the nation,
And she won't even kiss me. It's like, who said the designing? I don't go on kissing the bagger at
from the very
Target.
start, the British government's response to the global crisis was woeful.
For
A litany of
real.
errors.
For real. They become slaves in labor. And they're like, oh, please, honey, give me a kiss for this honey to-do list. I'm like,
Misjudgments, recklessness, and arrogance. Even as the full seriousness of the pandemic became clear, still the mistakes mounted
I
up.
think that I
Along with a
remember
mounting
earlier.
emphasis on diverting attention
She's like,
away from the real
si
risks
salían
the
de
country was
bumpers, I wanna be definitely. And they were upset because they're like, well, he put me in diapers first.
than any other in Europe, and toward those in charge.
So here goes
saved
the
their
power
own
trip.
political careers. Dr. Richard Horton, editor of The Lancet,
That's
decided
my
the most serious science policy failure.
what else? There's barely any gray in that shot, actually. It may have even fallen.
Former Australian High Commissioner
What?
for Britain, Mike Rand,
I
said the
used
official
to
response
bathe
was
in a tin tub right next to
with
my parents'
a
home,
shambles of mixed
right
messaging,
next to the
poor
street.
organization, and a
And
complacent
people
attitude
passed
that
by, and I loved it. My parents and my siblings became self-conscious.
what was
after I
happening
was
in
like,
Italy
"Hot
wouldn't happen here. Most damningly, as late as mid-March, as a lockdown Italy watched incredulously, while Britain apparently ignored the pandemic as
Well, I
something that
can't
simply
give them
wouldn't happen to them.
compliments, fool.
Many in that country
They ruin everything. They're like, Dad, we don't want to be doing this anymore. What the fuck?
suggested that the
Everything
British
like they
prime
want to
motivation
ruin.
appeared to be not so much saving lives as shielding the economy. On March 14th,
That may have
Italian
been the last
commentator
time that I
Roberto
bathed by the
Buffoni
side of the room.
noted that the way any government responded
What else? 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 No, I wouldn't want to live In
to
a
the COVID-19 crisis was a clear indicator of the way in which they understand the national interest and priorities. And the Downing Street strategy had at its core a cost-benefit calculation and conscious decision to sacrifice
color have I not used for this?
part of the population.
I just need this.
The UK went into nationwide lockdown March 23rd, the last of the major European economies to do so, a full 2 weeks after Italy. In an unprecedented address to the nation, Prime Minister Boris Johnson described COVID-19 as the biggest threat this country has faced for decades, and this country is not alone.
I just want to be
He went on to declare, all over the world, we are seeing the devastating impact of this.
Or was it in 2020? Who had Oreos? It was Lady Gaga. And people are possibly when is she gonna address the patriarchy? I'm like, the patriarchy should not exist.
Invisible. The way ahead. The first.
I did not know that her parents were so understanding. They're like,
British cases had been recorded at the end of January.
God, like,
Prime Minister and Health Secretary Matt Hancock had first discussed the emerging pandemic
from my
as
mother.
early as the first week in January. The subsequent delay in meaningful action would.
What else? That doesn't rehabilitate itself ever. It was Lady Gaga, wasn't it? Oh, what are the designs? There's designs. Oh, cute.
To result in tens of thousands of unnecessary deaths, as was a series of administrative blunders and errors of organization. Speaking to the BBC, Sir Jeremy Farrer, an infectious disease specialist and key government advisor.
It's cute. They're artists on eBay.
If not in late January, it was obvious this infection was going to be very serious, and it was going to affect more than just the region of Asia. I think it was very that this was going to be.
They contrasted with, well, let's have a baby, name it after that rapist that we feel about. Somehow, because if she had been financially stable, she may have just had an accessory. Him for the fun of it, but we'll never know. He may have one there that he respects. Or it could have been like trying to get him to respect people. It's like, well, we name our babies.
An unprecedented event. As we just
Then
it was not only British scientists to have foreseen the devastating potential of the virus, nor was he the only scientist to have urged Boris Johnson's administration to act quickly.
I don't say I wasn't there when Ted Bundy the kids. Might as well be Jason from that Friday.
And an advisement to the World Health Organization said, the countries that moved fast have curtailed the epidemic. The countries that delayed